We want to cross over to St. Vincent Live, where we have on standby Michelle Forbes, who is the director of the National Emergency Organization. Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning, Lisa, and good morning to Trinidad and Tobago.
So can you tell us exactly from where you are, because we spoke with members of UE Seismic Unit and they're making their way across, but you are actually physically in St. Vincent. What's the situation right now?
Well, yesterday we had quite some excitement, I would say. We would have had an effusive eruption of the volcano yesterday contained within the crater. So as you would expect, persons, especially closer to the volcano, are quite anxious and are basically preparing in the event that we move to another stage, in the event that there's a further eruption or an explosive eruption. So people are very concerned. People are listening out to know what is their next move. People are making preparations in the event that they have to evacuate, but we have not given an evacuation order. We are continuing to monitor the situation in collaboration with the Seismic Research Center. So basically, we are at a stage where all systems are on alert. We have been meeting since yesterday. We have been planning for some time because we know La Soufriere is a volcano that can actually go from doing nothing much to a full eruption within 48 hours. So on that premise, we have to be in a constant state of preparation.
So is the country on some level of alert right now?
Yes, yesterday the government raised the alert to orange because we would have already had an effusive eruption within the crater. So the alert level is orange, meaning that there's activity ongoing at the volcano, highly elevated, and we need to continue to monitor throughout at all times. So this means also that all agencies with responsibility for some level of disaster preparedness within St. Vincent and Grenadines have to activate their plans and activate all the mechanisms within country.
What sort of preparations? You said that persons started to prepare yesterday in their homes. What sort of preparations would one make in a case such as this?
First of all, we have about, in the event of an explosive eruption, we have close to 16,000 persons that most likely will have to evacuate. And some of the preparations that we have been advocating for years for families is to start having arrangements of homes outside of what we call the red zone or the orange zone, red and orange zone, that you can actually stay with family and friends if there's an eruption or if the evacuation order is given. We have had reports of people packing their bags and getting ready, waiting if there's evacuation order. We have been in contact with the communities, especially in the northern part of the island, northeast and northwest, in the event that we need to evacuate persons. We have been reviewing our disaster plans and ensuring that persons are aware of the evacuation routes, the rendezvous points, vehicles in the community that may be able to transport persons who do not have a transport in the event of evacuation. So there are several things going on at different levels across different agencies here in St. Vincent and Grenadines.
Yeah, this is happening in a very unusual year, a pandemic year. How has a pandemic impacted the preparations, which we probably would have had in place, even before the pandemic, but happening during COVID-19? Has that impacted it at all?
It hasn't impacted it. I think at the moment, but one of our concerns, of course, is that if you go into an evacuation mode, it's a time that you do not want to have mass sheltering, if you want to put it that way, because we know that we don't want to have that type of communal environment. So we are cognizant of the fact that we're in a pandemic era, and in the event that we have to use emergency shelters, public shelters, that can be an issue. So that is basically at the back of our heads, to try to encourage persons to stay with family and friends or to find alternative accommodation. So today we are looking at all alternative accommodation within what we term the green zone, that persons will be able to stay. So we will be reaching out to private homeowners, guest houses throughout in the southern part of the island and in the Grenadines that may be able to house persons. But we also first encourage those families to make contact with their own friends and family. So that's how the pandemic, it has been challenging for us in that the operations, the heart of the operations, the day-to-day communications, the contact tracing, the emergency operations has been at the National Emergency Management Organization for COVID-19 response since March. So we have been in a state of readiness and activation since March.
I'd imagine even the wearing of masks. You said masks, and I thought immediately of masks that persons have to wear, and with the emission of gases and having to wear masks, that in itself could pose some problems.
It can pose some problems. So this particular effusive eruption, you would only be smelling the gas, the sulfur really, if you're really pretty much on the volcano.
Okay.
We are all very close to it. So in that case, we right now not encourage any persons to go anywhere near the volcano because the sulfur smell is so strong. Yesterday we had our technicians on the volcano itself, seeing what has happened, and they basically had to just go up and take the photos and get back down. And our volcano is quite as almost a 2-hour trek to get up there. So it's not a walk-in volcano. So,
Mm-hmm.
but it's really only if you're in and around the volcano you'll actually get that smell for this
Mm-hmm.
particular type of eruption. Of course, it's a different type of eruption, explosive. Then you'll have to more look at the dust mask and the volcanic ash and
Yeah.
all of that. We are not there, but we have to prepare for that eventuality, but also to deal with the situation as it is.
All right. Well, Michelle Forbes, director of NEMO across there in St. Vincent, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We're going to keep our tabs and our eyes with you. We stay connected as it proceeds, and we trust that all will be well with our family and friends across in St. Vincent.